All right, welcome back everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So today we're tackling something that can be a little nerve-wracking, especially if you're in the legal field.
Oh, you mean like those dreaded legal assistant interviews?
Exactly. But don't worry, we're here to break it all down and give you the confidence to absolutely crush it.
We've got some great insights to share.
For sure. We found this super helpful article on Indeed.com. It's called 34 Legal Assistant Interview Questions with Sample Answers.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one. It's packed with useful stuff.
It really is. So they've got these questions organized into three main categories, starting with general questions, then they move into experience and background, and finally, they get to those really in-depth ones that can kind of throw you off.
Makes sense. They want to get a good overall picture of you.
Right, exactly. So let's start with those general questions. They're trying to get a feel for who you are, what motivates you. A really common one is what appeals to you about working in law.
Uh,
Now, I know it seems basic, but I feel like there's got to be more to it than just saying, it's interesting, right?
for sure. This is your chance to let that passion shine through. What is it that really makes you tick about law?
Yeah, like what specifically?
Well, think about it. Is it the research aspect? The fast-paced environment? Maybe there's a specific area of law that you find fascinating. Whatever it is, they want to see that genuine enthusiasm.
That's such a good point. I bet a lot of people just kind of give a generic answer.
Probably. And here's another tip. Do your research on the firm beforehand.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, find out what they specialize in, what kind of cases they handle. Then you can weave that into your response and show them you've taken the initiative to learn about their work.
Okay, so you've nailed the passion for law part, you've done your research on the firm, but then they hit you with this one. What's your ideal work environment and schedule?
Yeah.
How do you answer that honestly without, potentially shooting yourself in the foot?
Yes. The classic be honest, but also get the job dilemma.
Exactly.
It's all about framing. Like, let's say you thrive in a collaborative environment. You can totally say that.
Okay, good.
But also mention that you're flexible, you're a fast learner, you're happy to adapt to different situations. Firms value people who can roll with the punches.
So it's about finding that balance, right? Being authentic while also showing them that you're adaptable.
Exactly. They want someone who's a good fit, but also someone who's willing to grow and learn.
All right, that makes total sense. Speaking of curveballs, let's move on to the experience and background questions. These always feel a little more, I don't know, intense.
They can be a bit trickier for sure. They're really trying to dig into your past experiences to see if your skills align with what they're looking for.
Right, like this one. Have you ever worked with a difficult attorney?
Yeah.
I mean, who hasn't, right? But how do you answer that without sounding like you're, I don't know, bad-mouthing someone?
It's all about diplomacy. Remember, you're not there to trash talk anyone. Focus on how you handled the situation professionally, how you were able to keep things on track despite the challenges.
Okay, so spin it into a positive. Got it.
Exactly. Turn it into a learning experience.
Okay, what about this one? Describe a time when you made a mistake at work. How did you address it, and what was the result? Nobody likes talking about their mistakes.
True, but it's inevitable. Everyone makes mistakes. The key is to show that you learned from it and took steps to improve. And that's where the STAR method comes in.
The STAR method.
Yeah. STAR. It stands for Situation, Task, Action, and Result. It's a structured way to walk them through the experience.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So instead of just saying, I messed up, I'm giving them the whole story.
Right. You describe the situation, the task you were handling, the action you took to fix the mistake, and the positive result you achieved.
So it's about taking ownership and showing them how you turn it into a learning experience.
Exactly. It demonstrates self-awareness and a willingness to grow.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Let's try another one. How about this? Tell us about a time when you had a lot of responsibility for a project, but were working within a tight deadline. Isn't that just everyday life in a legal office?
Pretty much. And that's exactly what they want to hear. They're looking for how you handle pressure, how you prioritize tasks, how you manage your time effectively.
Makes sense.
So pick a story that highlights those skills. Did you stay organized? Did you communicate clearly with your team? Did you meet the deadline? Did you still deliver a quality result?
So even if the project itself wasn't huge or anything, I could still use it to showcase those essential skills.
Absolutely. It's all about how you frame it. All right. Ready to tackle the final category.
Bring on the in-depth questions. Let's see what they throw at us.
This is where they really test your knowledge and your ability to think on your feet.
All right, so first up in the in-depth category is, what's your method for researching a case and preparing a briefing? I feel like this one would make me freeze up a little.
It's a big one, for sure. But try not to overthink it. They're more interested in your process than anything else. Even if you haven't actually written a legal briefing before, you can still walk them through how you'd approach it.
Okay, so like, what kind of steps would I mention?
Well, think about it logically. First, you need to gather all the relevant documents, right? Court filings, pleadings, anything pertinent to the case.
Right, got it. Then what?
Then you'd carefully review everything, identify the key issues, the legal arguments, any relevant case law. And of course, you'd want to use legal research databases to find supporting precedents, things like Westlaw or LexisNexis.
Ah, okay, those ring a bell. So even if I'm not super familiar with those specific databases, the key is to show them I know how to research and analyze information.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating those core skills. And finally, you'd want to present your findings in a clear, concise way. A well-structured briefing document that highlights all the key points.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like breaking it down into manageable steps.
Exactly. All right, ready for another one? This time it's about depositions. What are depositions and why are they important? I think I know what a deposition is, but explaining why it matters, that's trickier.
Yeah, I feel like I'd stumble over that one.
It's all about understanding the bigger picture. Depositions are a crucial part of the discovery process. They allow attorneys to question witnesses under oath, gather evidence, really get a sense of what happened.
Right, so it's not just about taking notes, it's about active listening and analysis.
Exactly. You're the attorney's second set of eyes and ears. You're looking for inconsistencies, holes in the story, anything that could be helpful to the case.
Wow, it's like a legal chess match.
You could say that. All right, let's try one more in-depth question. What's the first step in any subpoena?
Ooh, subpoenas. I always get those mixed up with summons.
It's easy to confuse them. But think of a subpoena as a formal request for information or evidence. It could be documents, testimony, physical objects, whatever is relevant to the case.
Okay, so it's like a legal, bring me this document.
Pretty much. And the first step is always to review it carefully. Make sure you understand who issued it, who it's addressed to, what they're requesting, and any deadlines that need to be met.
Okay, so attention to detail is key here.
Absolutely. But here's the crucial part. Once you've reviewed it, you need to flag it for the attorney immediately. Don't try to handle it yourself.
Right, I'm the assistant, not the lawyer.
Exactly. You're there to support them, not make legal decisions. All right, we've tackled some tough questions, but the Indeed article also has a bunch of sample answers. Should we take a look and see how they put it all together?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm curious to see what they suggest.
They can be really helpful for getting a feel for the tone and structure of a good answer.
Okay, let's start with the question about confidentiality. It's a huge deal in the legal world, right?
Oh, absolutely. Breaching confidentiality can have serious consequences.
The sample answer here says, I believe that confidentiality is one of the most important aspects of working in a law firm. No matter how involved I am in a case, I always maintain complete confidentiality. A breach could not only jeopardize the case, but also damage the firm's reputation and erode the trust of clients and colleagues.
It's short and sweet, but it gets the point across.
You understand the gravity of the situation.
Right. It's not just about following rules. It's about upholding ethical standards and protecting sensitive information.
Okay, that makes sense. What about this question? How do you think you can best support the attorneys you work for? How do you answer that without sounding, I don't know, too generic?
Well, you want to focus on those core skills that are essential for a legal assistant. Things like communication, organization, time management, attention to detail.
Makes sense. Those are definitely things I'd want in an assessment.
The sample answer they give is, I support the attorneys I work for by communicating effectively, staying organized, and managing my time wisely. With strong time management skills, I can prioritize tasks and ensure that all deadlines are met. This allows the attorneys to focus on their legal work, knowing that I have everything under control. It's hitting all the right notes. You're showing them that you're reliable, organized, and proactive.
And it highlights how those skills directly benefit the attorneys.
Exactly. You're there to make their lives easier and help them succeed.
All right, this next one is interesting because it's about a potentially sensitive topic. How do you feel about working for an attorney who is representing a suspected criminal? I feel like this is where they're trying to gauge your, I don't know, your biases.
It's a test of your professionalism, for sure. Can you remain objective and impartial regardless of the circumstances?
The sample answer says, I understand that this is a possibility in this line of work, and I'm committed to approaching every case with the same level of professionalism and dedication. I believe in the principle of due process and that everyone deserves a fair trial. My personal feelings would never interfere with my work ethic or my commitment to supporting the attorney and upholding the legal system.
I like how it acknowledges the potential for personal feelings, but then immediately emphasizes a commitment to objectivity and professionalism.
It's like saying, look, I get it, but I'm here to do my job.
Right. And by mentioning due process and fair trials, you're subtly aligning your values with the legal system itself.
Okay, let's go back to the experience and background questions for a minute. We talked about the STAR method, but do you have any real life examples of how it works? Like how someone actually used it in an interview?
Sure. I once interviewed a candidate who used the STAR method to describe a time when they accidentally sent a confidential document to the wrong client.
Oh no. That's like every legal assistant's worst nightmare.
It was a pretty bad situation, but the candidate handled it really well. They explained the situation calmly, outlined the steps they took to contain the breach, and then described how they implemented new procedures to prevent it from happening again.
So they turned a negative into a positive by showing they learned from it and took steps to improve.
Exactly. And that's the power of the STAR method. It's not about hiding your mistakes, it's about showing how you grew from them.
Okay, I'm starting to see how useful this method can be.
It can really make a difference in how you present yourself.
Let's look at another sample answer from the experience and background category. This one is 4. Tell us about a time when you had a lot of responsibility for a project, but were working within a tight deadline.
Okay, let's see. The example they provide says, in my previous role as an administrative assistant, I was tasked with planning a large conference for over 200 attendees. We had a very limited time frame to secure the venue, arrange catering, send out invitations, and coordinate all the logistics. I created a detailed timeline, delegated tasks to other team members, and maintained clear communication throughout the process. We successfully executed the conference within the deadline and received positive feedback from the attendees.
It's really showcasing those key skills of organization, time management, and delegation. I like how they mentioned getting positive feedback. That always adds a nice touch.
Absolutely. It adds credibility to your story. And notice how they emphasize the successful completion of the project despite the tight deadline.
So they're highlighting their ability to handle pressure and deliver results.
Exactly. It paints a picture of someone who can be trusted to manage important tasks effectively.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. I'm feeling way more prepared to tackle these legal assistant interview questions.
That's great to hear. But remember, preparation goes beyond just memorizing answers. You need to do your research on the firm, understand their culture, and tailor your responses accordingly.
You're right, and I think it's important to, relax and be yourself. They're looking for someone who's competent, of course, but also someone who'd be a good fit for their team.
Absolutely. Personality goes a long way. And don't forget to prepare some questions to ask them.
Oh, good point. It shows you're genuinely interested and that you've put some thought into it.
Right. It turns the interview into more of a conversation, which can help you relax and connect with the interviewer.
Okay, so to recap, research the firm, practice the STAR method, be honest but strategic in your answers, and most importantly, let your personality shine through.
We believe in you. You got this.
All right, it's time for our final thought. Now that you've heard all these tips, what are you going to focus on to prepare for your interview? Think about the specific type of legal assistant role you're interested in and tailor your preparation accordingly. Good luck out there.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground already. We tackled those tricky experience and background questions, dove deep into the in-depth ones, and even broke down some solid sample answers. But, there's always a little more, right?
Oh, absolutely. We still have a few more nuggets of wisdom to share from this Indeed article.
Perfect, because I'm all about those nuggets. All right, so let's talk about this question. Why did you choose to apply to this firm? I feel like this is where a lot of people just kind of phone it in, They give a generic answer that could apply to any firm.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity. This is your chance to show them that you've done your research, that you understand what makes this firm special.
Right. It's about showing them you're not just applying randomly.
Exactly. So instead of saying something vague like, I admire your firm's reputation, dig a little deeper. What specifically caught your eye? Maybe it's their work in a particular area of law, a recent case they handled, or their commitment to a certain cause.
So personalize it, make it about them.
Right. The sample answer they give is, I chose to apply to this firm because I was particularly impressed by your work in mention a specific area of law. I believe my skills and experience in mention your relevant skills would be a valuable asset to your team. I'm also very interested in mention a specific case or project, and I'm eager to learn more about your approach to legal issue.
Okay, that's way more compelling than just saying, you guys seem great.
It shows you've done your homework and that you're genuinely interested in what they do.
Okay, let's tackle another one of those classic interview questions. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Now, everyone dreads the weakness part, right?
It's the part that makes everyone squirm a little.
But I guess there's no escaping it.
Not really, but there's a way to handle it strategically.
Hmm.
Remember, it's not about confessing to some fatal flaw. It's about showing self-awareness and a willingness to improve.
Okay, so how do I do that?
Well, choose a weakness that isn't a deal breaker, something you're actively working on. The sample answer suggests saying something like, "One of my strengths is my attention to detail. I'm meticulous when it comes to proofreading documents and organizing files. I'm also a strong communicator, and I'm always willing to go the extra mile to help my team. As for weaknesses, I sometimes struggle with delegation. I tend to want to do everything myself to ensure it's done correctly. However, I'm actively working on improving this by learning to trust my colleagues and delegate tasks effectively."
Okay, so it's about turning a potential negative into a positive. You're showing them that you're not perfect, but you're striving to be better.
Exactly. It demonstrates growth and a desire to learn.
All right, I feel like we've covered pretty much everything from this Indeed article. We've talked about researching the firm, tailoring your answers, using the STAR method, and even how to handle those tricky weakness questions. Is there anything else we should keep in mind as we're prepping for these interviews?
Well, all this preparation is fantastic, but there's one more thing that can really make a difference.
What's that?
Remember to relax and be yourself.
Oh, right. Easier said than done when you're nervous.
I know, but it's so important. They want to see your personality, your enthusiasm, your genuine interest in the role.
So it's not just about reciting answers, it's about connecting with the interviewer.
Exactly. Let them see who you are, what you bring to the table, and don't forget to ask them questions, too.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. It shows you're engaged and that you've put some thought into it.
Right. It turns the interview into more of a conversation. All right, so to wrap things up, research the firm, practice the STAR method, be honest but strategic in your answers, ask thoughtful questions, and most importantly, relax and let your personality shine through.
You got this. We're rooting for you.
Absolutely. We believe in you.
All right, that's it for this week's deep dive. I hope you found these tips helpful as you prepare for your legal assistant interview. Remember, you've got the skills, you've got the knowledge. Now go out there and rock it.
Until next time, keep diving deep.